At this point, AJ, I'm going to be honest with you. I just kind of feel like Puelles continuously gets disrespected. He was in his last fight against Chris Gritzmacher, and he knee-barred him in the third round. That entire fight, when he was fighting Gritzmacher, DC was kind of, dogging him a little bit, saying his wrestling shots were atrocious. Now, were they? I mean, yeah, kind of. But it was effective nonetheless. He still got the job done. He fought Jordan Levitt. He beat him when nobody thought anybody. I mean, I bet against him. I picked Levitt in that fight, and he ended up winning. I mean, listen, he's on a 4-fight win streak since dropping his UFC debut to Martin Bravo, which was a championship fight in the lightweight division. Brother, I mean, disrespect after disrespect. However, it's easy to write you off when you're fighting the Carpenter Clay Guida, who's coming off of one hell of a comeback victory against Leo Santos, where he basically used his head as a punching bag to tire out the arms of Santos to then end up destroying him in the second round. Now, if he didn't win that last fight, AJ, he would have been on a 2-fight losing streak. Nonetheless, a win is a win is a win. How does that momentum translate into this Puelles fight?
I think it translates heavy, especially because the Marco Manson split decision, depends on how you saw that fight. I saw that go into Guida, man. I thought Guido should be on a 3-fight winning streak, and I think mentally he thinks the same way. So I think all this momentum that he's been going against his young guns is just piling up, keeping him pushing, keeping him going, keeping Clay Guida young, man. I mean, yes, he's 40 years old, but this dude has all the energy we've seen him fight since day one. Since that Hall of Fame fight with Diego Sanchez, man, he hasn't changed a single step, man. Still power, still pressure, still all the crazy antics that Clay Guida has. I think all this momentum that he's had since the Bobby Green fight is really pushing him forward, man. I like Clay Guida in this fight, but at the same point, I agree with you, Derek. Claudio Puelles has been disrespected basically since day one, and yeah, the shots were bad, but they were effective. They were still getting his opponent Gritzmacher down and still doing what the job intended to do. They just weren't as pretty as one of the greatest wrestlers to do it in DC. So I agree. He has been disrespected, and he can win this fight. I even had to look at the odds on this one because this could be a good fight, man. This could be a close fight. Excuse me. It's going to be a good fight. Could be a close fight. Either way, man, I'm excited to see how this one gets down. How you feeling about this one, Derek? When you look at this, how do you see it unfolding?
Well, I like the fight. I think that overall, Clay Guida can win this fight. I see a clear path to victory for him if he's able to take what Gritzmacher did to Puelles in their last fight, and I believe round 2 or round 3, and just use the top control, use the heavy wrestling style, and just try to stay in that half guard and hold Puelles down for 3 rounds. I think he can get a win. Now, Claudio Puelles, the problem with his style is that he's so comfortable on his back. He's willing to accept the position and start working his jiu-jitsu. Now, that could work in one of two ways. You can be ineffective and you can just get kind of stalled out, or you can do something miraculous like he did against Chris Gritzmacher and pull out a vicious knee bar, pull out an arm bar, pull out something, let him play in the guard. Clay Guida has been finished 3 times in his miraculous, I don't even know how many fights this dude has total, 37 plus 18. That's a lot. We'll just say it at that. He's only been finished 3 times in his career, which is pretty incredible. Or maybe not. I might have that wrong. AJ, am I wrong there?
Pull it up.
See, look at that. Look at that, folks. This is the one. You can't disrespect Clay Guida by giving him more or less losses than are absolutely necessary. So, okay, I take it back. He's been submitted 8 times. That's a little more apt, right? It's been submitted, because I was like, I have seen him getting choked out a bunch. He has been submitted 8 times, and he's been knocked out twice. So he's been finished 10 times, and his miraculous still 40-plus fight career, right? So Puelles, by submission, can I see it happening? Absolutely. However, I mean, come on, brother. This is a veteran who he's seen just about everything there is to see. Do you think the young gun is going to pull out some magic tricks? No, you just got to be good at what you do. So what it comes down to in this fight, in my opinion, AJ, is Clay Guida taking one of 2 approaches. Do you think that he'll say, we're going to keep this fight on the feet because I'm a great wrestler and I can, Chuck Liddell style, right? I'm going to use my wrestling instead of taking you down. I'm going to force you to fight me on the feet and get Claudio Puelles in a kickboxing match. Would you see that as advantageous for the Carpenter?
I would, man. That's the question I had for Puelles is how good is this dude's hands? Mm-hmm. They looked a little not amateur, but just not as sharp as I was expecting Puelles to come out. And it was the same thing with his takedowns. Mm-hmm. They just weren't as good. Sure, they were effective. They just weren't as crisp as the rest of the division. Yeah. So that's what I'm curious to see, man. He has a huge test in front of him. How good is Puelles' stand-up going to be? Because I think Clay Guida out-wrestles him all day long, man. How good do you think Puelles' stand-up actually is, Derek?
I think his stand-up is sharp, man. I mean, he's got that laser beam of a left hand that he brings down the pipe. He's got those beautiful snapping head kicks. But this is the one thing that I want to take from this last fight against Santos. What did Santos hurt Guida with in the last fight? A liver kick, right? Just a shot straight to the liver. Well, guess what? Puelles is the southpaw. Guida's orthodox. That liver gonna be open all day long, brother. You don't think Puelles watched that fight and was like, oh, I got myself a new target. I'm just gonna keep kicking that liver until you try to take me down. And once you take me down, all right, it's armbar city, it's rear naked choke city. I mean, listen, he's the only dude right now. I think he has two of the. There's only so many knee bars in UFC history, and he has two of them. So I don't think that Guida's gonna be falling victim to a knee bar. You know what I'm saying? But I do think that this is gonna be an interesting fight. So let's talk over and under right here, brother. Over and under on this fight is 2.5 rounds right here. So, I mean, it could be going long, but when we're talking props, this is the thing that kind of blows my mind. You want some value on Clay Guida because I respect the Carpenter? Well, don't take the money line because the money line is okay. And even though he is favored, that's nice. But do you want to take Guida by points? Plus 150, brother. How does that sound?
That sounds nice right there because that's his style all day long, man.
And I can see it happening. I mean, aside from the rear naked choke against Santos, which is really more of a fatigue thing than anything else, the majority of his wins come via, decision. Dude's got 15 decision wins. Now against Jim Miller, he was able to submit him. That was pretty nice, I think. Either way. All right, brother. Claudio Puelles. This is the one for me. By submission, plus 450. Brother, I mean, I think I can definitely see Puelles coming away with the submission victory here. It's going to be easier said than done. But plus 450, do you think the oddsmakers just don't believe in it? They think Guida is not going to get submitted? They think that, I mean, what are they thinking here? This dude's literally a jiu-jitsu specialist.
Yeah, exactly. That's wild to me because I think that's Puelles' best way to victory, like his by submissions. That's absolutely so. There's some serious value in that plus 400 because how specialized Puelles is in that, and the way that Guida fights. That seems like his easiest route to me is by submission. So I don't see Puelles doing it stand up knockout. I don't see him outpointing Guida, outworking him. I do see a thing where Guida, we get to the ground and then Puelles snatches something up real quick like that. So that plus 400 right there seems to be a little value to throw a little bit of money down. I mean, even if it is going against the pick I originally thought, there's some serious value right there.
Yeah, regardless, just looking at scenario wise on what could happen in the fight. I mean, I don't know how you can pass that one up. At least throw $5 on it and just see where that takes you. But the last thing that I wanted to note here is that for Claudio Puelles, he's a little more of an accurate striker than Clay Guida is. Guida's a volume guy, right? So Guida lands roughly 48% of his significant strikes, right? Claudio Puelles lands around 66%, brother. So when it comes down to accuracy, that's going to be the big caveat here. Effective striking versus ineffective striking. We'll see what happens, but it's pick time, brother. Who you got in this fight? Over and under is 2.5 rounds. How do you see it playing out?
I'm rocking with Clay Guida, man. Like I said, this one was a close fight, and honestly, I'll be happy to see either of these guys win. I think either of these guys deserve a lot of a more push than they've been getting. Obviously, Guida's an absolute dog. Everybody knows him, but Puelles as well, man. He's a really, really good fighter. But either way, I'm going for Clay Guida, and I'm going by decision. I'm going the distance, man. What about you? Who you going and why?
Okay, folks. So if you like that Guida by points at plus 150, you better rock with my man AJ. Now I'm going against the grain here, and I'm going to rock with Claudio Puelles. And the reason why I'm rocking with Claudio Puelles in this one is because I think that this is youth versus veteranship. This is Claudio Puelles' big test. This is going to be the step. If he wins this fight in definitive fashion, there's no better name to have on your resume than a signature victory over the Carpenter Clay Guida, especially one who feels young and invigorated at 40 years of age. So for Claudio Puelles, he can't get respect over Jordan Levitt when he wins that. He can't get respect over Chris Gritzmacher, who, I mean, everybody was giving respect to people who could beat that man until Puelles did it, and then it didn't really matter. So now it's like if you can finally get it against the carbon copy of a Chris Gritzmacher, he just fought this fight in his last one, man. This is basically the same fight against Clay Guida. I think that he would get a lot of hype and praise to his name. So I think that this is it. This is it for Claudio Puelles. I'm going Puelles, and believe it or not, even though I like the submission here, I think Clay Guida might be just a tad bit too crafty to avoid the submission by Claudio Puelles. So I will be safe and I will rock with the over. I'm going to go Claudio Puelles via points, my man. So, I mean, I know that's a crazy thing to go against Guida on the points, but I think that the youth will be able to knock this one out. So I'm going Puelles, AJ going Guida. Should be a fun one.